Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
What? Do what?
Let the dogs out. Like, who let the dogs out? Who?
Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. Always available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Always available wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Welcome on a Tuesday. She's Amanda LaFratta. I am Dave Hooker. As we are off and rolling, Crazy Nug's already with us. Thanks for waiting. And I had a fancy new intro and I hit the wrong button, so we'll see that later.
Oh, I was wondering. You're like, check out the new intro, and I was like, oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, so we got a lot to get to. We want you to hit that like and subscribe button, and we want you to share as well. Comment below. Coming up on the program today, we will have a news segment that I'm excited about. Tell us about it, Amanda. We're going to call some people out in the SEC.
Yeah, definitely. It's Try Again Tuesday. And what we're going to do is we're going to say something basically that someone in the SEC has done that is stupid. And then we're going to say, try again.
Yep, I like it. And also we'll have that coming up. And as we do each and every Tuesday, we'll have Caleb Calhoun, his thoughts on the Vols over the weekend. No press conference yesterday as it is an off week. Speaking of the off week, let's get to the down and dirty at 30. And I want to start with the Tennessee LSU game time announced. And that announcement on Off the Hook Sports is brought to you by Honey Bee Coffee. Honey Bee Coffee. It's just darn good coffee, Amanda LaFratta.
Yeah, it really is. And when I was, sick and I couldn't have any, it kind of sucked. I'm not going to lie. I just liked it. I like it and I missed it. So.
Well, we're back now, and Amanda and I have a production meeting at Honeybee Coffee tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I will down 3 cups of that in a heartbeat and not even think twice. It's just that good. So be sure and like and subscribe. The Down and Dirty at 30 brought to you by Honeybee Coffee, and let's start with a noon kickoff for LSU. I naturally just thought in my mind that would be a 3:30 kick or probably a night game, but I definitely didn't think noon. I was absolutely stunned by that, Amanda. And it'll lead us to today's tough question eventually, but I know you've got a lot of Tennessee fans that you're buds with. What are their thoughts? I think it's actually better for Tennessee's football team, because I believe that it's an 11 a.m. start for LSU. It's a noon start for Tennessee. I think it helps Tennessee because you don't play at night. But, Amanda, if I'm a fan, I probably want to see a night game there. So I think it's pretty split.
Yeah, a lot of fans, when it first came out, were very unhappy about it being the noon game, because I think you feel as a Tennessee fan, you did this thing against Pitt, you did your thing against Florida, and then it's like no one cares. Like you're not getting a spot, a prime spot, and it makes no sense. So you kind of feel disrespected, and I understand that. But as you said, I would rather have a noon kickoff than to play in Death Valley at nighttime.
I would rather have a noon kickoff as a person who's going to write 5 stories after it. That's for sure. But as a Tennessee fan, you should be happy about this. Now, if you're making the trip and you wanted the night game environment and all that stuff, I get it. That is a super cool place to watch a game. But Tennessee has a better opportunity to play at noon. Loser for you saying is hello and saying, is this a replay or something? No, the game time was announced yesterday, nevertheless. And then, listen, night games are incredibly tough to play.
Especially down there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really difficult. It's a difficult place to play. Night games, the fans get all revved up. It's right up there with the toughest places to play in the entire country. And Girish will tell us that from El Chico. It's your last free plug, Girish. And Girish will tell us that from El Chico that it's an incredibly tough place to play because he's an LSU fan. And Amanda, again, I, another factor into this is that LSU typically practices in the afternoon. Tennessee practices in the morning. So you've got the body clock issue, and you can't up and change that because you've got class. They do go to class. So you plan around that. I just thought it was a really big surprise and a really good thing for Tennessee, quite frankly. The down and dirty at 30 continues with that Nico guy still recruiting for Tennessee. Nico Iamaleva is constantly on the prowl for prospects on the recruiting trail, and he was last weekend as well. 5-star quarterback from Warren High School in Downey, California, was in Knoxville for the Florida game, and Tennessee hosted several highly rated prospects this past weekend, including Boo Carter. So Carter, who's from Chattanooga, said he enjoyed the rowdy environment, but also said he got really close to Nico. And we think that Carter is going to play, from what I've been told, cornerback, but could he be a guy who plays on the offensive side of the ball? Certainly could be. And then we had a person, the loser for you, asking if we're delayed. He said, I'm a Gamecock fan. Well, let me tell you this. I'm sorry, but that's not going to work out for you. So go ahead and think of the next head coach. But another guy that we mentioned on offthehooksports.com that you can check out is Cam Pringle, who right now you would think would stay in the Carolinas, either North Carolina, South Carolina, or perhaps even Clemson. So I think Tennessee, no offense to you, South Carolina fan, but I do think that Tennessee would like to see things not go well for any Carolina school, but especially South Carolina with Cam Pringle, because they might be able to pull him in. I think he's leaning towards South Carolina at this point. But Tennessee, this is probably a little bit before your time, but Amanda, Tennessee's entire starting defensive line for the '98 national championship was from North Carolina. So if they can continue to have a foothold in there. Now it's different with the Carolinas. You've got Clemson, and you've got a lot of people that recruit that area, including Florida has extended up into there more than they ever did before. But if you can dominate that area, it would be huge for the Vols as far as recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. And with, in 98, I don't think that North Carolina or Duke really had much to say in football. And I know we're seeing that now, is that we're seeing North Carolina in there. We're seeing Duke. They were undefeated until they played Kansas, which is crazy. And no one thought that was possible. But yeah, we're seeing the Carolina teams really step up over there. Now, of course, you have Clemson, who's been good for the past 10 years. But you have, South Carolina is really dropping the ball in the Carolinas as far as that goes. I have a friend who's a huge South Carolina fan, and he doesn't like what's happening at all. So hopefully they'll come back in a couple of years, but it's not looking good.
Man, I hate even calling loser for you that name, because he seems super cool. He said, no offense taken, and that this is better than First Take. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I will take Amanda LaFratta over Skip Bayless any single day. Any single day.
I can't stand it.
John asked Dave your thoughts on the defense. Should Banks just go ahead and blitz more? The zone versus UF was so soft it made Richardson put up all the SEC numbers. That's something I talked to Chris Landry about, and that will drop later this afternoon. Yeah, I think that Tennessee would have been better off just bringing pressure. I think that Tennessee played soft by design, keeping things in front of them. But mentally is where you have to be disciplined. You can play off coverage, but it doesn't mean that you have to miss tackles. It doesn't mean you have to miss assignments. And I thought that ended up happening. So it is one of those situations where you have to have the maturity to know that just because you're playing soft coverage, you can't lose that aggressiveness. You can't lose that edge. And I thought Tennessee did at times Saturday in the second half, Amanda.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like we talked about before, Anthony Richardson played the game of his life, and I don't know where that came from. I mean, seriously, he played better than he's played in any game. And maybe, we've talked to Florida people and they say that Florida is not they don't consider Tennessee much of a rivalry anymore. Well, maybe that's actually not the case, because we saw this Florida team get up to play. But it's still very encouraging for Tennessee fans that they were able to finish that game as bad as it, looked like it was turning.
And some more news that Down and Dirty at 30. Tennessee picked up, we start every day at 8:30, by the way. Hit that like and subscribe button. Please share. Tennessee picked up a pair of weekly awards for individual performances from the SEC on Monday. That was not a surprise. Hendon Hooker was definitely going to get the SEC Offensive Player of the Week award. He did, based off his performance, which was just fantastic. Talking to Chris Landry, he was the highest graded player. Chris Landry of Landry Football, who's on our YouTube channel and breaks down every SEC team and even every conference. Right there, you can check it out. So he said that Hendon Hooker graded out the highest of every single player on Tennessee's team. And he's not just grading by stats, he's grading by the actual assignments and what he was supposed to do. Now, Javontes Spraggins was tabbed the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. And I thought Caleb Calhoun, nothing against Javontes whatsoever, but I thought Caleb Calhoun brought up a great point. You had a situation where Cooper Mays, who, yes, works with us at Off the Hook Sports. You can hear his podcast. Plug away, Dave. What am I doing? But, Amanda, he was tasked most oftentimes with handling a dude that was well over 400 pounds, Des Watson, and he moved him on the goal line. And I'm not sure why Javontes was picked over Cooper Mays. Perhaps they held the if you watched it, there was a bad snap apparently, but it wasn't. He was just trying to get the ball off because he saw somebody that was offside, so it was a free play. And Amanda, I was surprised that Cooper didn't get that. I didn't want to jinx him, but I thought he would probably get Offensive Lineman of the Week. But instead, Spraggins gets it, and I'm sure that Cooper has no problem with it.
No, I mean, Cooper seems like the guy who's very much of a team player. And I think you're right on that snap. But if people who were doing these grades actually went back and looked at it and realized what Cooper was doing, I think he would be hands down the favorite to win that award. I mean, there's no doubt. That's an Aaron Rodgers type move. I mean, Aaron Rodgers does that all the time in the NFL.
I have to be honest for a second. I'm a radio guy, and so I'm not used to looking at message boards while we're on the air. But crazy just cracked me up. That UFD lineman was just a fat, and he was, and but
400 pounds, you can't be all muscle.
no, but it's still 105 pounds compared to Cooper, who's lucky to be 300 and was very undersized coming into college. So John said we played the receivers so far in front of us because we were so concerned being taken by AR-15's legs. Totally agree. But that doesn't mean you need to lack discipline. So a couple other notes on Hendon Hooker, a story on offthehooksports.com I would encourage you to read. So visiting, you might have remembered it was late in the first half. There was a bit of a tussle between Hooker and a couple of Florida defenders after he was hit hard, and they tried to keep him down to slow up the pace of the game, kind of like people fake cramps with Tennessee's offense. And Hendon Hooker's got that dog in him, Jacob Warren said, and it showed. He kind of got in somebody's face. It was nothing egregious. It was what you would like to see. Step up the line, but don't even put a toe over it. You don't want a penalty there. But Hooker is so calm and collected in press conferences, it kind of took me back a little bit. And Amanda, I thought it was super cool. That guy's a competitor. It has nothing to do with the last name, but it doesn't hurt. I just absolutely love Hendon Hooker and the way he plays.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. There's a difference between being a competitor and being a show off. There's that difference between losing your emotional hold and being in the competition. Hendon Hooker is very much the competitor. He has his emotions in check. However, he's going to express those emotions when he has to do so. And that was kind of a warning sign, like, get off me. I might listen to gospel music, starting this, but I'm not afraid to come at you. So get off me, let me do my thing. Don't make this dirty and we won't have problems.
Yep. Oh, that was cool. And Amanda referencing the fact that he does listen to gospel music before every game, especially on the road with Jacob Warren, who shared that with us. Trevor and John are kind of beating around the same bush, and that is, if the receivers are playing so far off, why don't you walk them up and play some press coverage if you're getting beat by soft coverage? You're not going to like my answer, guys. There ain't a Deion Sanders walking around in that backfield. And, I think Trayvon Flowers is great at the safety position. I know he was preseason all SEC, but, there's just, I don't think there's great talent there. I mean, John's saying we should have tightened up, maybe, but then you get beat if you play any sort of press coverage, potentially by Richardson's arms. John's saying they don't have the best receivers either. I agree with that, but I think the only way you lose that game is to allow big plays by Anthony Richardson, and ultimately they didn't do that. They allowed a bunch of good plays, but not monster plays, and he has the ability to do more, Amanda.
Yeah, they allowed a bunch of little. I mean, I wouldn't say little, but they got, obviously Florida got the yardage, but you kept them out of the end zone. That's what you had to do. And if you played that coverage, I don't think you'd necessarily do that. I think if it's blown, that's touchdown immediately. So I agree with you on that fact. Like, if you wanted to hold them to as little points as possible, not necessarily as little amount of yards, but as little points as possible, just make sure no one gets by you and you're good.
John said, heard a comparison of Coach Hype's offensive scheme and numbers he's posting to Coach Spurrier fun and gun offense when he first arrived in 1990, score points, destroy bad teams, and compete versus better ones. Except for the tempo aspect of it, yes, I think there are some similarities there. I've compared Josh Heupel to Steve Spurrier because he's handling most of the play calls on the field. I don't know if you've ever been on a sideline before, but good Lord, it's impossible to tell what's going on. I don't know how you call plays, but that's a special ability. Just like if you want to say Michael Jordan could jump higher than anybody or any other sort of special, God gifted you with this. God gifted Josh Heupel and Steve Spurrier with the ability to see things and call plays. Now it's a little bit different because of tempo, but the reads are very simple as well. That's why the Danny Werfels of the world, the Palmers of the world struggled, and I hate to say this, Hendon Hooker might in the NFL as well, because it's a simple read. You throw it to that guy or you don't. And that's fine in college, but you can get beat at that at the pro level. But I think the Heupel and Spurrier comparisons are very apt, and that's good for Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree with that. Another name I'd throw in there is Lane Kiffin. I know everybody hates him and all that stuff, but he has the same ability to stand on the sidelines and see plays. Like, I've seen him multiple times throw up the touchdown when he's standing there before the pass is even thrown. Like, he has the ability to read that on the sidelines, and that's incredible to me. I've always found that incredible because I have been there looking. I can't see past these 300-pound linemen. I can't see, but I have no idea what's going on when they're like lined up and you're just staring at them point blank. It's amazing to me that anybody can be able to tell stuff while on the sidelines. That's incredible.
And I know he relies on his coaches in the box, and I'm sure that's a big factor. But how you see defensive coverages, in particular in the secondary, blows me away. And Danny say next year we'll have more speed in the backfield. I assume he's assuming, or he's talking about the defensive backfield. I kind of thought they would already with the transfers and the young guys coming in, but they haven't been able to establish themselves yet. So let's get to today's tough question. Today's tough question today is brought to you by my realtor, Andy Mason, andymasonrealestate.com. And Andy is just fantastic. Here's kind of his business model. It might work for you. Best prices, best service, end of discussion all over the Knoxville area. Andy Mason. So he brings you today's tough question. And Amanda, we were going to do this around the LSU kickoff.
Yes, sir.
How do we want to attack this? Because there's a couple of different ways we could go after it. Is it good for Tennessee's football team? Are you happy as a fan that it's a noon game? I think you should be, but you might not be if you're making the trip. But how do you want to phrase it? How do you want to put this together?
So my thing is, I'm going to say, how do you feel about the LSU Tennessee kickoff time at noon? Or noon kickoff time. And if I'm a Tennessee fan, I don't necessarily think I'm upset about that noon kickoff, because guess what happens? You're going down there. You're obviously not driving down in the middle of the night Friday to go to the game and then driving back. Like, that's not happening. You're gonna stay. You're not gonna go to a game all day and then just head on back, or fly back. You're gonna stay the night. So say Tennessee goes down there and just rocks it. You get all night to go out and cheer for your team and claim that victory. And doing that in LSU is wonderful. So
I have told you before that I graduated from Tennessee, but I put aside my rooting interest a long time ago because I didn't think it would be a good idea professionally to not be objective. And I thought that get the emotional roller coaster I've seen other homer media be on is just not healthy. And what happens, what coaches don't understand is that when you're a homer media, you rip harder when they lose because you're upset. And sometimes you unfairly criticize. But I will tell you this, I loved when Tennessee won on the road, because I could go out and have a cold beverage and everybody was chill. Whereas if the home team won, I just went back to a hotel room.
Yeah.
Or went to like some sort of steakhouse or something else that didn't involve watching football. And usually it was a hotel room because I wanted to watch the rest of the games that night. So there we go. Today's tough question. So our choices are concerning the LSU game. And what's the question? You set it up for me.
So how do you feel about the LSU versus Tennessee noon kickoff time? And the choices are going to be, I feel love it. I feel disrespected. I feel I hate it. And then it's going to be probably wish it was like hate it, wish it was at, prime time or whatever. That's I'll get that out. Like,
I like it.
Obviously.
I like it. Nutrition World is we're so happy to have them on board, and you can order all of your supplements right there from Nutrition World. Please do so, because I know you're already taking a lot of things. Whether it's I take supplements, vitamin D, vitamin B, and all that sort of stuff. You can get it right there at Nutrition World, and you can click on their ads on our site, and they've got the e-commerce store, so you're going to get the best prices, and they take a lot of pride in making sure they have the best possible products for you. So we'll get today's tough question completely molded, and we will visit with Caleb Calhoun. Bear with me, big audience out there. Tell you what, you give me 2 minutes, I give you the world.
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, where Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
Chatboard is wild and woolly today, and we appreciate that. One person posted, I see the Bama A&M game being the 3:30 game, but what conference game is bigger than UT and LSU? It should be the night game. I completely agree logistically. I don't understand why South Carolina, Kentucky, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I know we have a South Carolina fan on here right now. I mean, South Carolina is going to get beat by Kentucky. I mean, that's at Kentucky. You're going to start to see the Shane Beamer thing unravel pretty quickly, from what I'm told from some people at South Carolina. So
Shame Beamer is what it's going to end up being.
Shame Beamer. Shame.
I just came up with that. I'm pretty excited.
I was talking to somebody who knows who knows Shane Beamer, and I had brief exchanges with him when he was a GA at Tennessee. So, I mean, that's all I really know about him on a personal level. And I was told that he loves to go above and beyond to visit with the media and to make them feel comfortable, which always is a huge red flag for me, Amanda, because that means you're not confident enough in your coaching in and of itself. And I said, wow, that sounds just like Butch Jones. And the response was crazy. The response was, oh, no, Butch Jones is a better coach than Shane Beamer.
Okay. No.
I want to see it play out. You look at his staff, and because I did this yesterday just because of the Cam Pringle thing, I don't think that ends well, and I think it ends poorly sooner than we might have thought. We'll see.
We'll see, but I mean, I just know that he went above and beyond with his wife. Just saying that, like,
he did out
very, very pretty.
He did outkick his coverage. She was there at SEC Media Days. A couple of takeaways. Cedric Tillman is bigger than we thought, and Shane Beamer's wife is hotter than we thought. So those would be the things. Shane Beamer equals Butch. Craziest saying. The mattress place is where you need to go for your mattress. And do this for me. If you've even thought about needing a mattress, or you might one day, go ahead and go to the mattress place, and they will totally take care of you. And the mattress place is 30 to 70% off each and every day. And we're talking about over 225 5-star reviews on Google. That's really strong. The mattress place. Tell them Off the Hook Sports sent you. We would greatly appreciate it. And again, everybody that we do business with and everybody that's on the site is vetted, which doesn't happen when you hear a bunch of commercials, so maybe traditional radio. We know all our peeps, whether it's Honeybee, whether it's Craft Treats, whether it's whoever, Andy Mason, and we either work with them or will if we need their services. Caleb Calhoun, I work with him and I need his services. I also need his screen fix, which I just did. Caleb Calhoun joins us with Off the Hook Sports. And Caleb, we were just talking about the fact that Javonte Spragans received the Offensive Lineman of the Week by the SEC, but why wasn't it Cooper Mays?
I think there were a couple of reasons it wasn't, and I don't think either was Cooper Mays' fault. I'm going to be honest. I think there was the 4th down sack that was a busted protection, was right up the middle. I think that was Brenton Cox who was on there. Don't quote me on that, but it came right up the middle. And it came after Cooper Mays had blocked him and then moved off of him. But the reason Cooper Mays moved off of him, if you see, was that there was another guy he had to block. And Jalen Wright was supposed to pick up the rusher and just got absolutely obliterated on that play. And so I think that sack might have been attributed to Cooper Mays, even though it shouldn't have been. And
but I think you're going to reference the other one, too, in which I thought it was a poor snap for about half a second, and then I realized that Florida was offside. So it's Cooper's job to get the snap off. And I did talk to him after the podcast on Sunday, and I asked him just to explain to me what happened, and he said that it was a situation where, yes, he's going to snap it as quickly as he could, and he didn't think Hendon Hooker was ready for it. So while it looked like an awful snap, if Hooker's ready, he probably reels it in. But the point is, it's a free play. He saw somebody offsides. So what looks like a bad play, if you're looking at it, actually is a very, very intelligent play.
yeah, I mean, does Tennessee even get that offside penalty if he doesn't snap it right there?
No, he probably gets back.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that was a very heads-up play. And then there was one more, the 3rd and 10 completion to Princeton Fant on the 99-yard touchdown drive. It was the play before the Ramel Keaton pass. Once again, there was a player that blitzed up the middle. Hendon Hooker did a great job avoiding the blitz to get the ball to Fant. But again, that was on Jabari Small, who got a little confused in the backfield over who he was supposed to block. So, there
seemed to be a couple of times where the running back's supposed to pick somebody up and didn't. I've seen that happen a couple of times this year. Both of you guys take a sip of Honeybee coffee at the exact same time. I love it. So, Amanda, let's reset today's tough question because I want to get Caleb's take, and it has to do with the noon kickoff. That stunning to me that it was a noon kickoff or 11 Central Time at LSU. I thought that would be a 3:30 game or a night game, but the TV peeps didn't go in that direction.
No. And so today's tough question: how do you feel about the LSU versus Tennessee noon kickoff time? And there's 4 options. This is disrespected, not surprised, I wish it was later, and I love it when early. And right now, love it when early is dominating. So
I am with the love it when early people if you're a Tennessee fan, and I can't say that enough. I mean, 1,000 times over, I'm with love it when early, mainly because I think if you're playing LSU in Death Valley, you want to play them at 11 in the morning. You don't want to play them at 7 at night. And
no, you don't.
I mean, I've been to I remember I went to about over a decade ago, the Tennessee 13 men on the field fumble game that they lost to LSU, and everybody remembers how that awful play. But what people don't forget is Tennessee had no business being in that game with LSU. LSU was way better, and they just played so sluggish, so sloppy. The fans weren't really into it. It's Baton Rouge. They party hard. They're usually hungover at 11 in the morning. So
yeah, hands down.
Yeah. So I think that I mean, you compare what happened in 2010 versus what happened in 2000 when Tennessee was the far superior team, and Nick Saban gets his breakout win against Tennessee with Rohan Davies' first start, and the fans were rowdy as heck. I think that this is, and particularly because I know Tennessee fans want to say that they've been tested with the road game. Anybody who watched that Pitt game, that was a neutral site game almost. I think Tennessee fans may have gotten up to 50% of that stadium filled. So this was going to be their first true road test. You don't want to be in Death Valley at night.
No. And
Yeah.
man, some bad things have happened down there, including the Eric Ainge bouquet toss and when she got thrown into the goalpost. You mentioned having, I think they had 14 defensive tackles on the field at the same time. And that was the very moment that Chuck Smith essentially lost his job. And I mean, in all sincerity, after that, it was up to Lance Thompson, the linebackers coach, to handle the substitutions for the linebackers and the defensive linemen because poor Chuck didn't know who to send in and who not to. I mean, you talk
Save
about
Les Miles from being fired the next day, but yeah.
I mean, you talk about one of the all-time dumbest hires. I mean, this is not Chuck Smith's fault, but Chuck Smith is a technician that's taught how he teaches defensive ends how to rush the passer. That doesn't mean that he's a great defensive line coach. He just happened to be buddies with Derek Dooley. That was one of the most bizarre hires that made me wonder really early in the Dooley regime if he was insane.
Besides Derek Dooley?
Yes.
Yes.
Besides that hire.
Yeah. It's funny, Dave and I talked last week. I've been a little more fair to Derek Dooley than most. I get what your point is with him with recruiting, but I don't know a coach that had a worse situation to take over than Derek Dooley at Tennessee in 2010. Not just because of how bad of shape the program was in, but how good the SEC was at that particular time. I think in 2011 was the year that LSU, Alabama, and Arkansas finished 1, 2, and 3 in the country. And Tennessee just happened to draw LSU, Alabama, and Arkansas from the West that year. That was at that time where you drew 3 teams from the other division. And so and then Tyler Bray goes down, Justin Hunter goes down. But yeah, that was definitely a questionable hire, particularly in the whole and there was some confusion throughout the game because LSU kept subbing in late and Tennessee's defense wasn't getting the time that they felt they deserved to be able to sub in response. So, yeah, crazy, wild stuff happens there.
Joe's saying that noon was inevitable. Major League Baseball playoff. CBS hasn't had UGA yet, and the Texas A&M Bama game was always going to be the evening game. I mean, I guess, but I would like to know why my computer is making so much noise. I don't know if you guys could hear that. Could you guys hear that?
St. Patrick's Day, apparently.
Yes. But yeah, don't go to ESPN.com. So I think you find a way to fit that game into some other place. 3:30.
I mean, for the people who would say they're feeling disrespected, I think this is disrespect to LSU more than it is Tennessee. I think that if they put it on the noon game, I mean, Tennessee's the top 10 team right now. LSU is the unranked one, and
that's a good point. John saying, I hope Aaron Judge gets 62 before the LSU game. Imagine watching the cut-ins like last week.
Oh gosh, you're so right.
Wait, now you referenced that too, Amanda. I didn't. Is it because I'm on a different streaming service? I didn't get any cut-ins.
You didn't get any cut-ins?
No, I got the alerts on my phone. I was kind of scratching my head yesterday what you were talking about because no, I didn't get any cut-ins of Aaron Judge. I don't know if it's a different. Are we talking about during the day, throughout the day? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. It was almost every college football game, I swear. And it was I think Auburn, Missouri, right at the end, which it was, trust me, it was not a great game. I can't remember when it was, but it was at pivotal points in games. They just flip and have Aaron Judge over here and then the college football game over here. And It was everywhere. Every single game. It would not stop. It was the most insane. I just wanted to claw my eyes out watching that.
Yeah, well, Chattanooga is known as gig city, so I've got a different provider, so I'm not really sure why, but I didn't see that. I was actually planning on going to Baltimore on Friday to see Aaron Judge, and because I have a feeling he hits it on Friday. And he hits 61. I called Caleb to ask if he wanted to have lunch, which was a way for me to then, kind of work into the conversation. Hey, do you have a couch that I could sleep on? We didn't get that far because Caleb's going to be out of town. So I was looking for a free place to stay. But no, I wasn't really doing that, Caleb. But yeah, I do love the passive aggressiveness of the coverage. Don't you guys love that? Barry Bonds hit 70, but it's basically this is the steroid free one, and it's kind of like Caleb kind of taking a shot at those steroid guys like McGuire and all those dudes.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because like I'm so mixed on it because growing up, like my first love as a sports fan was King Griffey Jr. So like I took it very personally to see McGuire, Sosa, and Bonds all surpass him in stardom in the late 90s and the 2000s. And there was all this talk of why is Griffey not keeping up? I'm like, well, because he's human and he hit 30. And when you hit 30 and you're not juicing, you're gonna get a little bit worse. But I'll say this with Aaron Judge that I think he's played 149 games now, and so he's only got 5 to break the Babe Ruth record, he's tied it at least, but still no one surpassed without cheating 60 home runs in 154 games.
Yep.
And
but I feel like the Albert Pujols thing is getting overshadowed right now. Like that should be the thing. That should be what's going on.
They're probably both juicing.
I saw Mark McGuire hit 2 of his home runs in person, by the way, in St. Louis, just FYI.
Who cares? He was cheating.
I don't care. I was still like in 5th grade. Get off me. It's cool.
To be fair, McGuire didn't cheat initially. He did cheat in 98, but like he did break the all-time rookie home run record in like 86 or 87. McGuire was the guy that was like the 29-year-old player, but when he came in at 21. So when he was like 25, he was already looking like he was aging. And so I think he took steroids to like just offset some really rapid aging that was happening with him.
Craft Treats, as we get back to Tennessee, a little off topic there. Craft Treats is a great place to go. Crafttreats.com. Type in the promo code Off the Hook Sports for 20% off for great craft treats and dog treats that will help your pet with social anxiety or car ride anxiety or whatever the case may be. And they are just fantastic, wholesome. They make them themselves, so your pet's going to be in good shape. So, Caleb, as far as the off week, it's an opportunity for Tennessee to take a guy who's flashed and take him to another level. That means playing more. That means being more comfortable, more packages. Who are some of those players that you think could take a step in the off week? And I'm going to go first, even though he didn't have a big impact last week, which surprised me a little bit. So maybe there's something miss I'm not aware of, but that would be Squirrel White. I believe that Squirrel will have an increased presence after the off week, given some more time to work on his game. Who do you think that might be?
I was going to go in a similar route, funny enough, because I'm going to say Jimmy Holiday in the kick return game. I think that if you looked at Tennessee football as a stock exchange and you talked about assets to buy that are being undervalued right now, I would say the return game in general, because everybody's upset about the failed recovered onside kick. And I get it. You got to recover those onside kicks. But Jimmy Holiday had a 27-yard kickoff return and a 34-yard kickoff return over the weekend, and it seemed like he came close to breaking one of those. And so I'm with you. Squirrel White would do the same in the punt return game. And I think they finally have who they want in both spots, and they now have 2 weeks to really work on it with just those guys. Don't put Trayvon Flowers back returning punts. I'm going to write that in all caps.
Yes, I agree. He doesn't bring you any explosion. I think the one mistake, the fumble against Pitt, was probably an aberration, but still, it's just not the same explosion. And then I'll give you one on defense, Joshua Josephs. I think he could play more. I think he's flashed. And with an early bye week, I think they know what they've got out of him. I like his upside. I talked to people over there at Tennessee that think that his ceiling is rather high, Caleb.
I could go with that. I've been shocked the number of times I've heard his name called this early in the year for a true freshman edge rusher. I did not see that coming. On defense, I would actually go probably, and I think out of desperation more than anything, Christian Charles. I don't think anybody can handle the number one cornerback spot yet, but I think Christian Charles is the only one athletic enough to do it. So I think if he actually could fine tune his skills a little bit, he might actually be able to handle it, because I'm sorry. Everybody was asking about, could Kamal Hadden overtake Warren Burrell? I'm sorry. I know he had a tackle for a loss over the weekend. He still got burned a lot. He played awful. Tamarian McDonald also played. Tamarian McDonald probably was the worst defensive back on the field last week, and he got beat a lot too. And I know he plays nickel, but I'm going Christian Charles. Someone's got to take that top cornerback spot, and right now Burrell has it by default when he's healthy.
Yeah, I wonder what's happened with Andre Turrentine. I thought that the expectations were a little high from him transferring from Ohio State. It's not like he played a lot there anyway, but he at least had been in a college weight room environment and that sort of thing. I thought he would have more of an impact, but we haven't seen that. Caleb, I totally appreciate what you're saying, but I just don't know that they have a dude back there that's significantly better.
I'm saying Christian Charles has significantly the most potential. That doesn't mean he's going to be good. I'm seeing. Here's a throwback for you. I'm seeing potential like Jonathan Wade style with Christian Charles. Remember, Jonathan Wade switched from receiver to cornerback and then was hurt, so he spent a whole year to learn the position, and then he came out and was pretty strong. I think Christian Charles has. Again, he just has raw athleticism. He may not be ready to play the position. You're right. And I think Andre Turrentine, they ended up moving him over at safety, which was weird in this offseason. So, but that's just one to watch because it's out of desperation, because I don't think Tennessee has an answer at cornerback. I said at the beginning of the year, we both talked about it, and I think it's come to fruition. They just have issues there. And they're not that athletic. And that's what that is. They're just not that athletic. And I think Christian Charles is at least athletic, even if he hasn't really fine-tuned all the nuts and bolts of playing cornerback.
So how do you feel like they should, address this? Like, how do you feel like going forward? You have a real tough schedule. You have, you have Tennessee. You have Alabama. You have Georgia. You're going to LSU. And I know that LSU is not great, but it's still LSU. They still have that talent there. So how do you address the situation? What do you do going forward? You just changed your scheme altogether? Like, what do you do?
I mean,
I think you wait till next year.
Yeah, I'm with Dave on that. I think you kind of have to wait till next year. Your best bet with LSU, and the thing that's underrated about LSU is like, for a team with a first-year head coach, they don't throw that many interceptions either. How many do they have on the year? 2?
I have no idea.
But
not many.
Yeah, not many. And so you kind of, again, this is an LSU team that, let's be honest, they should be undefeated right now. It was a series of ridiculous mistakes why they lost that first game to Florida State. And if they do win that game, we are talking about that probably being on CBS in 2 weeks. So I think your best bet is, sometimes you kind of have to do this out of desperation, is I think particularly with LSU, is you just bring some pressure, bring a little more pressure. You didn't do that to Anthony Richardson because there was the fear of him using his legs. And I think against LSU, you just got to blitz a lot more. You just got to start bringing more pressure with the linebackers. They're not that useful in coverage anyway. The linebackers, we've talked about it all year, aren't that good in coverage.
I don't hate that, because I think you feel better about your safeties than you do any other position on the defense.
I agree.
So
I agree. And the smartest thing that was done over the weekend, by the way, for people who question what Tim Banks is play calling throughout the day, anybody that questions Tim Banks, look at what he did after Florida recovered that onside kick. Every coach in America would have played prevent defense and tried desperately to stop them from getting a Hail Mary. Tim Banks brought the house the rest of the, that whole drive right there. And on that final Hail Mary, he brought like 6 guys, which I've always said on Hail Marys, it makes way more sense to bring pressure than it does to drop back and play prevent, because they have to let the play develop to throw it.
Yep. Let's get a reset of today's tough question, and the reset and where we stand, brought to you by Zool Beer Company. Zool Beer Company. Go to zoolbeer.com. Fantastic panoramic view of downtown, great place to hang out, and worldwide award-winning craft beer. Got it. It's almost as hard as Nico's name. Amanda, where are we with today's tough question?
All right. So how do you feel about the LSU Tennessee noon kickoff time? So we had 4 4 options: disrespected, not surprised, I wish it was later, and I love it when early. Love it when early is winning big with 73%. So a lot of people, Tennessee fans, don't necessarily think, there's 0% that think it's a disrespected move. Like they don't feel disrespected by the move. There's 11% or 8% that aren't surprised. 16% wish it was later. But for the majority, Tennessee fans, I think, really understand that this is an advantage for Tennessee versus one for LSU.
Yep. Interesting. Okay, so we've got a new bit that we want you to take part of, Caleb. It's Try It Again Tuesday, and Amanda LaFratta came up with this. So we'll get an element together, and it'll be all fancy eventually. But for now, it is me saying Try It Again Tuesday. Brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. So Try It Again Tuesday. You can look back in the SEC or Tennessee, for that matter, and you can say, hey, that didn't go real well. You need to try that again. So, Amanda, do you want to start? You got to Try It Again Tuesday for us?
Oh, I definitely have a Try It Again Tuesday. This is what started this whole thing. So Arkansas released in lieu of the checkerboard Neyland thing. Ole Miss first released a let's stripe Ole Miss. So they're going to try to stripe it with blue and red and white. That's okay. Try it again, Ole Miss, because that's not going to work out. Everybody needs to leave the checkerboarding, striping. Just leave it to the Vols. Leave it to the Vols. But Arkansas especially said, we're going to do a red out game for Alabama versus Arkansas. It's the same color. Like, it's very close, similar colors. And I don't know if they realize that opposing fans aren't going to wear white. That's opposing teams. So it's going to look exactly the same as it would if you just didn't say anything. So try it again, Arkansas. Try it again.
Yeah, I like that. Try It Again Tuesday. What about you, Caleb? I know we're catching you kind of off guard. And if you want to post on the message board, we'll be glad to read those out. Try It Again Tuesday. I got a couple. How about you? Do you have one for Try It Again Tuesday?
I mean, I try to be nice on those things. So for me, I will stick maybe with on the field happenings, at which point I will just say Harrison Mevis, try it again. You shouldn't miss 26-yard chip shot field goals from dead center to win a game if you play college football, particularly with NIL money. I don't believe, I'm going to say this, and this is a soapbox I've been on for 15 years, and I'm on it even higher now. Stop coddling kickers because they miss kicks they should make. That's their job. If they miss a 35, 40, 45-yarder in college, okay, we can have a conversation. Missing chip shot field goals, dead center, there's no excuse for that, and you don't deserve any sort of sympathy. You have a job to do.
I can roll with that. My Try It Again Tuesday goes to Nathaniel Pete, and it is trying to extend the ball over the goal line in the Missouri-Auburn game. He's the Missouri tailback. What does he do? He fumbles, and
we're both Missouri.
What's that?
We're both going at Missouri players.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going Nathaniel Pete. You just don't extend the ball like that, really, ever. If you talk to coaches, I'm certain that I'm never going back to ESPN.com again. I'm certain that there are times you feel like you should extend the ball and it works for you and all that, but coaches across the board will say it's not worth it unless you're like in a last down type of situation that over the long haul it hurts you. It's kind of a similar, and it was David Cutcliffe that told me this. He said you don't ever really want that unless it's fourth down, like a Joe Milton play, and you have to make a play right then, or the time's running out, or some sort of desperation, and you don't want to be extending the ball, and that's what Pete did. So try it again Tuesday. Try it again, Brandon Pete, because that did not work out. And
Rough.
I'm surprised we don't see that more often, to be real honest with you. But we've seen it throughout. But Amanda, what do you think that the Alabama players thought about the red out? I mean,
I
I bet they just laughed.
Yeah, I don't really think that they felt any sort of way about it. It's just, this is typical Arkansas behavior. Like, I don't know if you remember in 2011 when that big hurricane came through Tuscaloosa and wiped out like a lot of stuff. And then not Arkansas, the football, but somebody from Arkansas tweeted out like they're running back in a tornado. That was like, we're coming for you, Alabama. And I was like,
My gosh.
this is just horrible. But like, this is Arkansas. My God, you're already like the little piggies. You're already the little piggies. Calm it down. Like, just let it go. Stop it. Red out. Who came up with that? And who's sticking with it?
It'd be like cool if you're playing Tennessee or something, but
Yeah.
it's totally not cool if you're playing Alabama.
I actually don't think it's even cool for Tennessee, only because like when you do these whatever out games, like this Arkansas Stadium usually looks pretty red anyway for people in Arkansas fans. So like a red out, like if you're going to do a blackout or a white out, like okay, but if you want Arkansas to roll out in some black jerseys, fine. But yeah, I don't even think it works if they're playing it. It's just dumber when you're playing Alabama.
Yeah, because everyone's all red anyway. So what?
John said, "Can you imagine paying more than $20 a ticket to watch that Auburn-Mizzou game? That was an ugly game." Listen, if that game was in my backyard, I'd have closed the shades.
Oh, I said last week it was a game to both coaches were coaching for their job in that game, and I still think both coaches should be fired after what those are awful teams. Those
awful.
No.
And I think Mizzou from this point forward should be playing for their right to stay in the SEC. That they should just be jettisoned. But Amanda knows I hate Mizzou.
You do.
You
really do.
They also have a very good journalism department, and
they do.
The ones that come out of there are a little snobby. Oh, I went to Mizzou.
I did a journalism camp at Missouri one time, and yes, it's very but okay, Ole Miss is that way with their literary program.
I didn't know that, but Mizzou ain't Northwestern. I mean, Northwestern, that they can be snobby about their journalism and broadcasting if they want to. I mean, but Mizzou ain't that, are they?
No, they're not that. But I think maybe these coaches, like Auburn and in Mizzou's coaches, probably took a look at Scott Frost's playbook and like, how can we get out of here as fast as possible and get the most money? It looked like they were trying to let's try to get fired. And Eli got you, Brian, because he made it worse.
Brandon says that game, the Mizzou
I see the
game. Yeah. Belongs on Jefferson Pilot Sport.
Oh, that was
that back in the day. That was like they just picked people out of the stands to do the broadcasting. I mean, I hate to be mean. I'm not going to say any names because I do not rip other media. But I remember watching that thinking, I'm 24 years old, and I feel quite certain I could do better than that right now.
I think that's why we as SEC fans hate noon games, by the way. We have such a tradition of associating it with used to be the noon game was on Jefferson Pilot or 11 a.m., I guess if you were Central Time. And we just were like, oh, it's going to be such a dull game to watch. It's JP Sports, 11 a.m. And
now I will give Holly Rowe a lot of credit because I thought she was really rough to start, and she's now with ESPN, right? Or I know she had a battle with cancer, so she was she got better, and I credit her for that. And I will tell you this: more attractive in person than you would think.
Well, we all got to start somewhere, Dave. All got to start somewhere.
They say the camera adds 10 pounds, but in person, it takes off 10 pounds. So,
well, I mean, it's I will say that. Yeah, I will say
question reset. Holly Rowe, hot or not?
No, we're not doing that.
The Bluegrass Miracle did happen on Jefferson Pilot Sports. The
LSU game, yeah.
LSU game.
LSU Kentucky, when the
Yep.
LSU band members came out there and was like
Yep.
on the field, and Kentucky scored through the band.
Through the
Oh, I
band and
love
the fans. Yep. That was a JP game.
Could we not have come up with a better name than Bluegrass Miracle?
It's Kentucky. I mean, I've actually said this. It's funny because we're talking
How about the Commonwealth Catastrophe? That was pretty good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good one. Like
If you're LSU.
Yeah, that's true. This happened at LSU. This is for LSU, so it's Tennessee and Kentucky have very much embraced a lot of their bluegrass country folks roots, which I'm fine with. I think sometimes they gotta work. I think Tennessee does it better than Kentucky does. Work a little bit harder to appeal to some younger fans and recruits. At the same time, I've always said, like, the checkerboard overalls. I'm sorry, if I was a recruit, hot take, I'm not a fan of checkerboard overalls. You look super square when you wear those.
I thought the same thing on Saturday when you said that. That is crazy.
Super square. Did you mean to do that?
No, but
well crafted.
Yeah.
Joe said, didn't Tom Hart start there too? I don't know if Tom did or not, but Tom's very good. I know he started as the play-by-play voice of the Tennessee Smokies, and I was like, well, you're not going to have him for long because he is really, really good. So I'm curious. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button if you don't mind, because how differently would Tennessee be viewed if they ran an offense like Arkansas with the same results? I want to dig into that for a second. Brought to you by Viles Automotive Group right there on Calhoun. Viles Automotive Group has a great selection and has the service that you would expect out of somebody you know. It's about integrity. It's absolutely phenomenal. You've got to go Viles Automotive Group for your next car purchase. So, guys, really, what you have with Arkansas and Tennessee offensively is much the same thing. And it's an approach to overcome a talent deficiency because they are not as talented as the Alabamas or Georgias of the world. And last year, Tennessee was even further behind in proven talent. So was Arkansas in its first year under Sam Pittman. So how differently would Tennessee be viewed? Let me start with Amanda, because what you have is essentially the triple option of the 80s and 90s. It is a way of tempo to offset talent. So with Sam Pittman, he's going to run the ball and control the clock. That's his way of offsetting talent deficiencies that Arkansas has. How differently would Tennessee be viewed if they were that 3 yards and a cloud of dust type of offense as opposed to the high-flying offense? Even if they had the same amount of wins, the exact same amount of wins last year and this year. Amanda, let me start with you. How differently would they be viewed?
I mean, a lot differently. I feel like they're not the type of offense that Tennessee runs makes them exciting and makes them fun to watch. If you're going to tune in to a game, you want to see, like, defense wins championships. We've all heard that. I think it's changed a little bit. If you want to see a game that is high-powered and fun and great to watch, Tennessee's that game. Everyone wants to see that. Everyone wants to see that kind of offense now. You don't want to see the ground and pound 3 yards, 4 yards. You don't want to see that anymore. You want to see those high-powered offenses. So Tennessee would be viewed, I mean, similar to, like, I don't know. It would be like watching Auburn, Missouri. I mean, it's just
you're gonna have to go there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that's how boring that kind of stuff is, where you're just sitting here just like, can you just get down the field and not take you 10 minutes? Please just get down the field.
But Caleb, along those lines, so it's different, but is what Sam Pittman is what he's doing, because he's going to be able, if everything's equal, he's going to be able to get some better defensive prospects at times because they don't have to be on the field nearly as much. I would think if everything is equal, coming down to prospect between a defender choosing Arkansas and Tennessee, and he's 50-50, that could be a factor in his decision. Is what Sam Pittman is doing at Arkansas more sustainable than what Josh Heupel is currently doing at Tennessee?
I think that if it was a standard spread offense, you might have a point with Josh Heupel, but as we've talked about, there's a lot more. I don't want to say complexities, but he does. Again, he uses the run a lot. He really works to establish the run. It's just tempo is all he does. I think I think they're a little bit different, and I think they kind of work for their areas. Josh Heupel is going to be very quarterback and receiver based. Well, he's got Florida connections, so guess what? He can recruit some receivers. And nowadays, you can get a quarterback from anywhere if you find them, and particularly with NIL money. So I think Josh Heupel has it right for his system. I think Arkansas, and Kendall Briles is very ahead of the curve as an offensive coordinator. I think he's very good with his personnel and understanding what needs to be done. I think that one of the underrated things for and Dave, you've followed recruiting, so you probably know this really well. If you track NFL talent, and Arkansas is basically a gateway to this region. There's a unique amount of offensive line talent that comes from the Great Plains. And I mean, I think one of the biggest reasons Nebraska struggled under Scott Frost, I don't think Scott Frost is a bad coach. Scott Frost ran an up-tempo, skill-based offense. Nebraska's completely gone away from what made them so good in the 90s. Now, the triple option is not going to work anymore. That's a dead offense. Defenses are too fast. But you can find an offense. I think Arkansas's perfected the art of finding an offense where you can really maximize the advantage of offensive linemen and elite offensive linemen. And I feel like Nebraska should have gone that route because, Wisconsin, yes, they're struggling this year, but Wisconsin usually stays pretty relevant every year because they're like, we'll find 5 guys that work on corn dairy farms and in the rural parts of our state, and we'll plug them up front and we'll just manhandle you and run it and win 10 games doing it. And I think Arkansas is more along the lines of being able to do that. Tennessee more can get, because of Heupel's connections, because of where they are, is more capable of getting certain athletes, particularly on the outside. And so I think that I think their styles fit for what they do.
Yeah, and it was funny you mentioned that. I hadn't really thought about it, but in that area, Nebraska, Arkansas, you're talking about a lot of developmental guys that are old man strong, I would call it, just naturally strong and corn-fed guys, the guys that come up through the ranks a lot of times too. Brandon Burlsworth, the award that goes to the best former walk-on, rest in peace. He was that type of guy. He was a walk-on, kept getting better and better. And those are developmental programs and probably always will be when you talk about Arkansas and Wisconsin and Nebraska. I don't think they're going to suddenly go out and recruit 5-star talent left and right. You're always going to have the Ohio States of the world swooping in if they do have a special player in that area. But yeah, I mean, that's
the move for them is to dominate with the developmental guys in the trenches and do what listen to me, what Tom Osborne did, and find the one athletic quarterback in Tommy Frazier that can take your offense to the next level and have the elite running back. And then there you go.
Yeah. So what's the running back's name? I saw him in person twice and I suddenly can't remember his name.
Lawrence Phillips or Ramon?
Yeah, Lawrence Phillips. Yeah. He was an interesting cat.
Yeah.
He
had some real issues.
What's he doing nowadays? Does anybody know? Because last I heard,
did he pass away? I thought he passed away.
Oh, well then, okay, I didn't know that.
Well, on the corn-fed side, I mean, just with what we're talking about, it's always like I feel like more of it's deep, like it's offensive linemen, but a lot of it's defensive, like people, like the Watt brothers for Wisconsin. Like,
who, by the way, Butch Jones wanted to make J.J. Watt a tight end.
He did. He did.
Those are the kind of examples of like the corn-fed, like go out and pick up the hay barrels at the end of the day kind of thing.
You're right. The trick with that, though, on the defensive line is defensive tackle. I mean, this is really what ended the triple option as a unit, as an offense is, particularly in the South. There kind of became a realization that you can get defensive tackles that have the athleticism of track stars.
Yeah.
And just like, I still will never get over that too. It blows my mind that Tennessee had John Henderson and Albert Haynesworth playing in the middle on the same team one year. I mean, that's like the most freakishly amazing combination of athleticism in history.
Well, I can remember asking. I said, "Do you think that?" I think it was Philip that I asked this. It might have been an offensive line coach. There was a Barry that was an offensive line coach, I think.
Mike Barry.
It might have been him. I can't remember who I asked. And I said, do you think Albert, because he was like a year or two behind, I said, do you think Albert can be as good as Sean Henderson? And the answer was better. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, he has that quick twitch even more than, and he said he will just absolutely sting offensive linemen where they don't want to be a part of it anymore. And I think you saw that. I think there were times where Albert wasn't in the best shape of his life, but was still a dominant force for a while in the NFL. I mean, there's a reason the Titans franchised him twice. There's a reason the Redskins paid him $30 million. And yeah, I don't know how we got off on those guys, but there should be a lot of guys in that area. And I don't know why is it called corn-fed? Does anybody know that? Because actually it would be protein that you would want to eat that would make you stronger.
It's just it's the agriculture area.
Yeah, corn grows out there.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, but it's like corn.
That's all it is.
I don't
No,
know.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
It should be, but if we're talking about strong guys, it should be like the protein shake guys.
Guys, this is America. They sneak corn into everything we do, though, into everything we eat. So
That's true.
This is you got a couple of big food companies that are like that. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to go off a tangent on that. But
have you ever had smoked corn? By the way,
I'm from Memphis. I've had smoked everything.
Yeah, smoked corn, man, is fantastic. And you need to go to Alice Nest Barbecue to get that smoker, that Green Mountain Grill, because you can smoke your corn right there with the rest of the meat. And they have all the sauces and the rubs that you could possibly imagine. It is unbelievable. And it is Alice Nest Barbecue right there in Noodlewall. Okay, Caleb. So I don't know if you got anything planned today. If you do, go ahead and plug it, tease it. Because offthehooksports.com is your home for Tennessee coverage. I got a couple of things coming up. The first person who called Jacob Warren after beating Florida was a former Vol who kind of sort of knows the feeling because he played the same position. Also, I'm going to have my final thoughts on final wrap up of the Florida game, the takeaways, and we got a recruiting column coming up as well. But anything you got planned for the day, Jacob?
Did you just call me Jacob?
He did.
Caleb?
Just so you know, my little brother's name is Jacob, and my parents were like, I don't know why I named us both our first name John Calhoun. So literally my little brother's John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. His name is my name too. Anyways, yes.
Well, I was thinking Jacob Warren, not your brother, but go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think I'll work a little bit on I might write something on. I've been thinking about this on just defensive Tim Banks and his defensive schemes over the weekend.
Love it.
You know, I don't know how you guys feel. I think that some of the coverages were just necessary because of what they were worried about with Florida.
I don't think we know how good of a coach he is because of the limitations and the way the entire program is structured around offense and the way they practice.
I agree.
I just don't think we have any. He could go on to be Vince Lombardi, or he could go on to be Butch Jones. I don't know. Caleb, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. If you haven't read Caleb yet on offthehooksports.com, you have got to. He is a fantastic writer and brings up some really good points. So, Caleb, have a great afternoon. And if I decide to make the game Friday night in Baltimore, if you could just leave the keys maybe underneath
under the mat.
Yeah, that would be great. But we will talk about that. I appreciate it, Caleb. Thank you, sir.
All right, have a good one, guys.
I went full office space for a second. Yeah, that'd be great. If you could go ahead and do those TPS reports, that'd be fantastic. Do you love that movie or do you love that movie? Office Space?
I think it's overrated. I mean, I've watched it like a few times, but
It's not as overrated as Super Troopers.
no, that's true.
I'll tell you what's overrated is buying an e-bike online that is not a Pedigo, because you're not going to get service on that e-bike and you're going to be hung out to dry if something goes wrong with it, and it probably will. So Pedigo Chattanooga has the best e-bikes. Pedigo Chattanooga is a great place if you want to rent a bike and roll around downtown, not worry about parking, or if you want to purchase, know that you got service at Pedigo dealerships across the country. And John saying, Dave, you can't have my red stapler. No, you can't. Another Office Space reference. Back in 2 minutes with Message Board Bingo.
It's Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Calhoun Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Oh no.
I love this.
I get thrown off every time.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
It's a cool mix-up.
It is right here. Like right here it is, and then after that, it's just too much.
Kind of goes off the rails. Definitely Zeppelin is my favorite band of all time.
Mine too.
If I had to go second, though, it'd probably be the Stones. I mean, I think Sympathy for the Devil is probably the best written song ever. And that was the opening lyrics of that. That one song to me, as a collective, it's by far Zeppelin. But that one song to me is better than anything Zeppelin did. I know you're going to go crazy over that.
Oh,
look.
We'll have to talk about this off the air.
I got the look. Daniel saying Attack of the Porn Bots. I'm sorry, guys. I delete those as fast as I can, and it is absolutely brutal. So, no, we are not the ones posting Uxteen Ishne 18 blonde.
No, it's not me.
Ishnush 19 brunette. No, we are not those people, just so you know that. The message board bingo today is brought to you by our friends at Big Orange Phillies. Big Orange Phillies, a great place to watch the game at Big Orange Phillies. They've got it all. You can shoot some stick, play some billiards, throw some darts. How about that? And you can also just enjoy great food. And they've got cornhole, and it's just fantastic. All right, so let's get to a little bit of message board bingo, and then we've got pretty cool. Well, I think it's pretty cool. We got a pretty cool this day in sports history to close us out that you're not going to want to miss because it illustrates what being a jerk can do and how karma can bite you in the rear. And I'm quite glad of that because this guy who we were talking about earlier, it's about Mark McGuire, was one incredible jerk. But first, message board bingo. A winner saying those bots are a sign you hit some sort of metric.
Yep.
Well, I guess it's good that we hit the porn metric. All right.
Well, I think just everyone needs to know you are not the blonde and I am not the brunette. Like
Yeah,
everyone just
and
needs to know
and we
that.
don't speak German either because they're all in German.
No, we don't speak German.
Hit that like and subscribe button for Amanda, not porn. So you can be a part of our coverage, and we would love for you to do that. Subscribe, like, share, comment below. And John saying probably the character people who type on here. I don't think so. All right, message board bingo is now. If you can type in the winner, or you can type in the message board of the team of which this post was posted. It's very difficult to say. Then
Type in the team.
Yeah, just type in the team.
Fan base.
Then you can win a Hooker shirt. We're giving away Hooker shirts left and right. So let's do that. Message board bingo. Boom.
All right. So this is ACC.
Ack.
That's what happens when you continue to make bad head coach.
Can I say one funny thing real quick?
Yeah.
You remember the AAFL and its illustrious 6 weeks of action? Like 5 years ago?
I block it out.
Yeah, it was like a different league in the spring, and they lasted like 6 weeks. I told this guy that it was called the AF, and it was the AAFL, and he used that forever. And he got so into it that he got a media credential and went to a game in Birmingham. And I said, "Did you refer to it as the AF in the press box?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's what they call it." And no, they don't. Nobody but you and me call it that.
Feel like maybe he lied to you.
If you met this dude, you would know that I was the right one. Maybe a little off kilter. All right, let's do it again. Message for bingo.
That's what happens when you continue to make bad head coaching hires. Had to keep it in the family, though. He played here, bro. This time, we actually were willing to spend and wasted it. Beyond disappointing.
I know exactly who this is. You got 10 seconds starting now. Message board bingo. If you can tell me what team's message board saw that post. And John said Miami.
Good job, John.
Oh, I thought it was Nebraska.
It's ACC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you did say ACC. Sorry. Joe said Nebraska too. Well, it does fit Nebraska except for that ACC part of it. So I'll tell you what. So who got it? John. John, email me at dave@offthehooksports.com. dave@offthehooksports.com. I'll type it in here and then I will hook you up. Oh, did Brandon get it first? I don't see a Brandon post. That's weird. I don't see a Brandon post. All right, so and crazy, your shirt's in there. Should I keep playing till I get my shirt or what? I don't. Crazy, you're gonna have to email me again. We had some confusion. I think I know who you are. I wish there was an easier way to interact with you guys on YouTube, but there's not at this point. So we're doing our best. I mean, I would just give you my cell phone number. But
or we can do Twitter. You can.
I would give you my cell phone number, but I would pick up the phone and it'd be like, Ish Nox Oosh 18 blonde.
Press 1 for blonde. Press 2 for brunette. For redhead, call a different number.
All right. What do we message for bingo part 2? We got time for one more. Let's roll.
All right. ACC again. Can we drop to D2? Like, this is a legit question.
Can we drop to D2?
Yeah.
and this is an ACC team.
Mhm.
Oh, I think I know who it is. You got 10 seconds. Once I come up with it in my head, winner EC says Georgia Tech.
No.
That's who I thought it was. You got 5 more seconds. Anybody? Duke, Boston College, Virginia Tech,
No.
Wake Forest.
No.
It's too hard. All right, what is it? Good
North
try.
Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know why. That makes no sense.
Yeah. Me neither.
If we have time for one more, I've got a good one.
All right, let's roll.
All right. Not trying to be the tinfoil hat guy, but this is so fishy. No way CBS thinks Auburn, with an interim coach, likely at this point, playing the number 1 team in the nation, will bring in more viewers than our game. Really seems like they're trying to influence our game to help the other team of going into their next game undefeated.
Read that one more time.
Okay. And this is not ACC, by the way. So, not trying to be the tinfoil hat guy, but this is so fishy. No way CBS thinks Auburn, with a likely at that point interim coach playing the number 1 team in the nation, will bring in more viewers than our game. Really seems like they're trying to influence the game to help the other team of going into the Bama game undefeated.
Joe says LSU.
Yep.
Okay. Joe,
Talking
you were
about
the
Tennessee
first one
game.
to say LSU. So I'm gonna make this really simple. This cannot be easier. And okay. David off the hooksports.com. There it is. Email me if you want a shirt. And don't lie about it. There's a
Somebody
limit.
lie about it?
No, I mean, I guess they could because everybody's got aliases. But if my email fills up, we're not doing this anymore.
If it's German, that's going to be bad.
Ich nuschnack ich blonde 18. It is time for this day in sports history.
This day in sports history, putting things in perspective, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFratta.
New Kids on the Block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
On this day in sports history, so we're waiting for Aaron Judge to break the supposedly steroid-free record. I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm a big Judge fan. I mean, I don't know. But on this day in 1998, Phil Ozerski, he was a fan making $30,000 a year. He caught Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball. I think I said earlier Barry Bonds had the record. That means it's so inconsequential in my mind. The Cardinals asked for the ball in exchange for a signed bat, ball, and jersey. Ozerski, all he said was I also want to meet McGwire. So he's making $30,000 a year. Okay. So that's all he wants to do. And they offer him a signed bat, ball, and jersey. McGwire says he wouldn't meet him. How big is the jerkitude in that?
I'd keep the ball.
He did. 3 months later, he sold it for guess how much?
$50,000.
3. I'm holding up 3 numbers. Another
300,000.
Higher.
3 million.
$3 million. So Mark's jerkitude made that guy financially independent when he was trying to be a good dude. So there.
Good for him.
That's called karma. That is absolutely called karma. So I love it. City Heating and Air Conditioning is about integrity, a lot like that guy, and unlike Mark McGwire. And City Heating and Air Conditioning services all of the Knoxville area. It's HVAC at its best. And we certainly appreciate them and their support. Like I said, with all of our sponsors, anybody on our site, if it's on our site, we either do business with them or we would and will, when we need, their services. Have a fantastic day, everyone. 8:30 tomorrow morning, we'll be with you. She's Amanda LaFratta. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off